doing my all around. Looks like I'm live. We'll need to be gathering the troops. There we go. Now it's starting to come online. I think let me check the different feeds. You know the drill, everyone. It's like this technology stuff is crazy, especially when we're going to be talking with a psychic medium. Then, oh my gosh, it is all stirred up and beautiful and crazy with all of the energy. So any of my YouTube folks or Facebook folks, please say hello, because I'm seeing people. Thank God. I'm like, I don't see anybody. Nobody's on here. Oh my gosh. Hi, Richard. Nice to see you. I am well. It's all good. Although we've been playing with, lighting here, trying to get this right, or not right. I don't know if right is the word, but yes. And we are welcoming in all our folks. Hi, Janet. Nice to see you. Yeah, today's going to be fun. And oh my gosh, my friend, I love you. Thank you. You're here, Denise. Thank you. Thanks for coming. I'm still adjusting things. So I hope that you'll bear with me, because I'm just still adjusting things all the way around. Yeah, we've got a great show today. So it's just going to be fun and lively, and we're just going to talk about lots of things. So I guess, I can just pop on in as we gather the troops. I'm still, of course, resetting up everything here. So we will be ready in just a second. Sometimes the technology, especially when you're doing something psychic like this, is really cray. It's really crazy, because I was blipping in and out earlier. It just can be crazy. So I appreciate every single one of you that comes on here and bears with me while we have our technology growing pains, as it were. So, my goodness, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Happy end of your week or beginning of your weekend. Some of you are in other parts of the world. Welcome to TGIF, Insight for the Curious and Enlightened. For our new podcast listeners, or if you're new to my channel or coming on through our guest's invitation, thank you so much for coming. I'm your host, Debbie Tatel, and I am from Spirit Light Insight. I am a clairvoyant, an energy healer, and spiritual teacher focused on helping you develop your natural psychic abilities. And not just develop them, but to use them on a day-to-day basis. Welcome, Tammy. We're just saying hello to some folks. You are welcome to say hello, whether you know me or not, whether you're familiar. I know my mom's on here somewhere, or she's going to be tuning in soon. I don't know. So welcome to everyone who is coming on. And oh my gosh, I just lost my thing here. Wow. It's that kind of day. How's everyone doing? How's everyone around the world? What's in your growth period? That's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today in our weekly wrap up. And while people are coming on and we're gathering steam, I'm actually going to do the weekly wrap up. So I want to hear about your week and how it was, because the earth is in quite a growth period this week. And what I mean by a growth period is this period of rapid change. There's a lot of change going on, a lot of, in the news, there's a lot of change going on. But at a physical level, there's a lot going on with the earth, and everything that we are going through in our lives All of that is a growth period too. It's a period of growth. It's whatever. You may notice themes in your life about things, and that's a growth period where maybe, for a couple of weeks you're thinking about this or that, or pondering this or that. That's a growth period. So it's a theme or a thread that weaves through our lives. So what I mean when I say the earth is in a growth period is that Mother Gaia is stretching her arms, so to speak. As of November 14th, there are 19 volcanoes, and wow, that's great, because Tammy was just commenting on that about the volcanoes. But as of November 14th, 19 volcanoes are actively erupting at the same time. And this is also kind of fun to me, is that there is now a new island off the coast of Japan from all of these earthquakes. And yes, things are definitely accelerating, and it's a little bit nuts out there as far as that goes. So this affects each of us in a variety of ways. So, we go through lots of grounding in the meditations at the end, but each of us, it's going to affect us a little bit different, because if our grounding is off, our connection with the earth, that energetic connection that we have, we can get dizzy, our vision can get blurred, our equilibrium can get off. It can be very difficult to ground and connect with the earth. And if that is the case, you also have to realize that we each bring in the vibration of the earth. We call it earth energy, in this earth energy flow. Yeah. And we might not need to bring in as much of that earth's energy flow as usual. So just really, when you're meditating, or you are thinking, pondering, even trying to relax, there is a buzzy thing happening with that third chakra, that belly, in your belly. So I want you to be aware of that. And just anyway, today, in our meditation, but even right now, we're going to for sure be saying hello to the Earth's growth period. And I don't know, I see an island as new life, so it's like Japan birthed a baby. I think that's really just great. But it's the Earth in a growth period, and it's our own personal growth periods. So once again, thank you for all coming, and be sure to stick around for our weekly wrap-up meditation. We're adding a little something special in honor of today's guest. He did this on his Facebook page, and since I didn't actually get a chance to ask him right before the show, in our meditation, we're going to do just this beautiful, we're going to create this love circle, and I'm giving him all the credit for that prompt for me to do that. So, golly, without further ado, I'm super excited to bring on today's guest, psychic medium Glenn Klausner. Glenn, so I'm just going to read this. Glenn is a nationally and internationally renowned psychic medium residing in New York City, who for nearly 3 decades has been reuniting thousands of people from all over the world and their loved ones who have transitioned. He first exhibited intuitive abilities by the age of 4, when he began communicating with non-physical spirits, making predictions and relaying messages to family and friends. As a teenager, he further explored these abilities through his communications with the spirit world, and by the early 1990s, he began conducting readings for a growing and steady clientele worldwide. In addition to communicating with departed loved ones, humans, and pets, Miss Tammy, He also gives psychic readings and intuitive coaching for everyday life guidance. He's available for seminars, teaching classes, media appearances, and consultations to assist families with intuitive children. Since 1999, Glenn has been a featured guest on over 1,000 top radio programs heard worldwide and has appeared on ABC, CBS, NBC TV, all the news segments, and the film documentary After Death Communication, Fact or Fiction. I could go on with those accolades like all day long, except for I would be here for hours. So please see Glenn's website, and I'm going to give you that information in a little bit for a detailed list of his many appearances and accolades and testimonials, because I really want to introduce him to you. So put your hands together, woo, even though you're not on camera, as we welcome my friend Glenn. Welcome.
Hi, Deborah. Thank you for having me.
So good to see you. Are we good with this picture? Or do I need to go back to the other one?
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's both of us were like a deer in the headlights a little bit earlier. So that was pretty funny. So welcome. And I also want to welcome all the folks that Glenn invited on to watch the show, to participate. He was just tagging people crazily, and it was great, which I love, because I love having someone who is, super enthusiastic about being here. Right. So we're getting some hellos.
Hello, Richard. Hello, Tammy.
Yeah. And there's many more people watching, but sometimes we have some silent folks in here. They don't like to, yeah, I know, they don't like to talk, but I can see, because there's a little eye in the corner of my, showing how many people are here. So there's definitely more
millions.
People. So how's your week been? Like,
my week has been okay. As they say, another day above ground is a good day. So
that's true. That's true. And Janet is welcoming you. We're getting all of our folks welcoming you. And let's see. Ooh, we've got, because I do like a give and take. So we're going to get to so many things, because I have questions. But Tom said it was a rough week as we got news on my brother-in-law. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to stay strong and positive that he will somehow get through the upcoming treatments. When we do our meditation at the end, and I hope you'll stick around, or if you can't stick around, please listen to this later, because this love circle is going to very much help with that.
Yeah, can I interject something there about Tom's statement about his brother-in-law? First of all, my thoughts and prayers are with you and your brother-in-law and your family. And we can visualize your brother-in-law being in vibrant, radiant health. We can just see that for him. We can choose to see it. That's not ignoring the diagnosis that he got, but we can choose to see him just in perfect, radiant health. And it's a wonderful thing that we can do for any person or animal or plant life, and ourselves, of course. But the thing, Tom's message there is a really good reminder to all of us that we all go through stuff in life with people that we love. I've had some loved ones this week also going through health stuff. I've had surgeries and stuff. And I think it's really just that it makes us really realize like what to appreciate, the gift of our life and what we have in it, as opposed to what we don't have in it. So, my heart goes out to Tom and his family.
And that is part, by the way, Glenn, of what we're going to do later, which is going to be amazing, because I just kind of, we're going to visualize everybody in health and wellness. So it's going to be great. I know I didn't kind of tell you about that yet, but I'm telling you now. So here we are. That's what's important.
Well, cheers with water.
Cheers with water. Cheers with, oh my gosh, cranberry ginger ale.
Very
that
nice.
Only comes out once a year. Yummy. There's no alcohol in it. Mm-mm.
Nice cup.
My mom says hello, and she's been watching. Vivian,
hello.
You're getting some more welcomes.
Thank you.
I'm doing them really quick, but you can read quick. So, Everybody's like sort of welcoming you. Hello, Angela. Hello, Vanessa. Vanessa, we will get to your question. I think I can star it, but I don't know what will happen. So bear with me while I star this and see, because I want to make sure we can get back to your question. I don't know. It doesn't say. But anyway, we'll try, Vanessa. I starred you so I can get back. So we're saying hello to Angela. And oh my gosh, everybody's just, say hello to everybody.
Hi, Vivian.
That's my mom.
Well, I figured by the last name.
Yeah.
I always have to correct somebody when they write my name with one N. I'm actually with two N's. Not that that's really a big difference.
Did I write? Oh,
because
I'm like, did I write it wrong? And I pronounced your last name right, didn't I?
I'm here. That's all that matters.
Okay. How do you pronounce it? I want to get it right.
It's Glenn with two N's.
No. I meant your last name. Did I pronounce it right?
Well, the New York way, I pronounce it as Klausner, but it probably really is pronounced Klausner. Is probably the real way of it. But growing up in Brooklyn,
I pronounced it just like you then.
Yeah, Klausner. I mean,
that's so yeah. That's really good. So I have a little story as we lead into asking you some questions, because it's all about you today, because you're here, and I'm just, I don't even know what to do because I'm so excited. So a few weeks ago we had a paranormal investigator here on the show, him and his wife, Matt and Josie Haas, and Haas Investigations. And they've been to all these famous places in, like Amityville House and things like that. And they do tours and everything like that. Anyway, so it was great. We connected, and I just happened to see a live. I think it was early this week. Might have been 2 weeks ago, but I think it was this past week. And he's live with all his equipment and everything in a graveyard, in this super historical graveyard that I can't remember the name of right now. Sorry, but because that's not the best part of the story. But the story is that they're trying to communicate, and they've got their equipment and those little voice things, and they're picking up these little voices. And I tune in and I see this little girl, like in a sack, sort of a whitish burlap, the old school, like nightgown, what we would call it, that heavy material and everything, really long time ago. And so I started to tell him, I see a little girl there and she wants to play. And I see her playing, but I don't know what that is. Right. In fact, I didn't even know at the time where he was. I just saw a graveyard and a bunch of equipment. And so he says, our friend, because he's live, he says, our friend Debbie says she sees a little girl. And suddenly this music box, this old time music box that they had put on top of one of the gravestones, starts to play. And it won't stop. And they couldn't get it to stop. And I was seeing this little girl, clear as day, so delighted at what was coming out of this music box. And I even told him, I sent him a message. I'm like, he's like, stop playing, we're asking you to stop. And I said, have you ever tried to take a toy away from a kid? and he laughed. But the reason that I bring this up is I saw her so clearly. And that's just one of the most recent experiences that I've had. I've had many, many other experiences, but that one's going to stick with me for a while, because mostly when the music box went off and he started bringing it up, I got chills. Like, I knew that this little, because I could see her right there. So that was me reading what I was seeing. But people come to you, like, it's one thing if I go there and I can see beings. I do house clearings and things like that for people. But when people come to you wanting readings about loved ones and things like that, does it work that same way? Do you just see it? What is your sort of process of tuning into, let's say, that person?
Well, it's a mixture. When I do a reading for someone, basically what I do before I do the session is I just open myself up to whoever the spirits are that are connected to that individual. But I also prepare the client that it could be someone you would not expect. Let's say it's a former boss that you had, or neighbor, or it could be a relative that you didn't know that passed before you were born, or it could be a myriad of different beings. It could be your best friend's mother or your mother's best friend. So I never know, but I do my best to have the spirit convey to me enough information that you can validate them. Sometimes, see, the biggest thing with me with deceased people is getting the personality out of them than me getting the name Joe. Sometimes I'll get, I get the name, sometimes I don't. But if I get that somebody had, let's say, an Uncle Joe, but Joe didn't say his name was Joe, and the uncle is doing certain things that you just know that it's definitely him by the personality, that's the biggest validation, more so than, somebody's born in November, the name was Joe. That tells me nothing. The personality is what really tells me who that identity is, and would tell you the same thing. So, there's no particular, I had pretty much the same way I work with each reading, but I never know who's going to show up. So I remember there have been times when I've even read for somebody, even a publicly known person's come through, and I'm like, are you who I think you are? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, how do you know? And like, I'll give you a quick example. About 22 years ago, it was a woman I read when I lived in Florida. It was in person. Her name was Lily, and her husband, who had died, he had come through. But midway through the reading, I see this guy with jet black hair in front of me, and I recognized who that guy was right away. And I said, are you who I think you are? He goes, yeah. This lady and I, Lily, were friends. She knew me when I was on Earth. And I'm like, so as I'm about to ask her, did you know, she says to me, who are you seeing, Elvis? I'm like, yeah, how'd you know? She goes, oh, he shows up a lot in my readings with people.
I was going to actually ask you specifically about your Elvis one. So thank you for just reading me and coming up with that.
But it was like, and I wasn't starstruck or anything like that, because, he was talking to me like the way we're talking to each other.
Yeah.
So I was just translating what he was saying to her, which was very helpful actually at the time for her health, amazingly. But he really is deceased, in case anybody's wondering if he's out there at some Burger King in Michigan or something.
Oh, God. For all you conspiracy theorists out there. But yeah, I was going to ask you about your celebrity sightings and how how you tune in, because it's different when you read. Like I see. Well, I see dead people all the time too. But it's different because you really tune in. You really get in there.
Yeah, well, I'm like, I'm sort of, I guess with the deceased person, I'm sort of like a journalist meets like, a detective. I guess when I was a kid, I watched Starsky and Hutch, and part of me wanted to be a detective because I just thought it was a cool job. But when I'm dialoguing with that spirit, I really ask them to give me as much information that can really authenticate that it's them. And sometimes, you may go, I can give you everything. And the client goes, do they tell you what my favorite color is? I'm like, look, it doesn't, I just gave you this all other stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
It's not going to appease you. But the spirit, each one is so, again, different. And you brought up something about the cemetery before. There is, I don't know if it's okay to plug this particular YouTube channel. There is a YouTube channel I came across of a guy who does spirit box communication. His channel is the best channel I've ever seen with spirit box communication, because the spirits that he's connecting with, like he recently did with Matthew Perry, David Bowie, and it's really them coming through. The David Bowie one's very interesting. The channel's called Cody. If I can give it, I'll tell the people, because they should hear what this is. It's so cool. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, we can. We can put a link later. I can send it out. I can put it in our description on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll just say now, the channel they go on YouTube, they put in Cody, CODY. ITC, like in Charlie. The David Bowie one's really interesting because David, in that spirit box, he referenced Ziggy, Thin White Duke. The guy that has a spirit box who you don't see on camera, he has no idea what those references are to David Bowie. His Ziggy as in Ziggy Stardust, the Thin White Duke. He referenced at the end Mick, which that guy probably thought he was talking about Mick Jagger, but David Bowie may have been either talking about Mick Ronson, who was his guitar player, or Mick Rock, who I've met, who was a famous photographer who took a lot of photos of David. So it's kind of cool when you hear that and hear how their voices are coming through in the spirit box. It's amazing. So I recommend people to check that out.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you did. I mean, I have so much because I want to, I also wanted to talk to you because you're a musician, so these musicians, right? So so it's Glenn, aka also known as Glenn Kidd, right?
Right, two N's,
And
two N's, and two D's.
two N's and two D's. And wait, where did I lose the message here? Because we can bop back and forth. I just want to make sure that you see this from Vanessa. Hello, would love a message. We lost our matriarch of the family, and would be so amazing to know that she was greeted on the other side and settled. And even I can answer this one because they always are greeted and on the other side, and settled depends on how they collected up their energy before they leave. But I'll toss this one back to you, Glenn.
Well, I would agree with that. All the beings that ever pass are usually greeted by someone that they know. It's not necessarily always going to be immediately the person that they may think. It could be sort of similar to a movie called The Five People You Meet in Heaven, which kind of really gives a good depiction of that. But usually, again, depending on the individual, their life, because just like here on Earth, when people leave their body, sometimes they really go and ascend over to that light. Sometimes they don't. They stick around here for whatever reason, unfinished business, or because they don't know what to expect. Excuse me, don't know what to expect in crossing over. So it's really hard to really say for sure where this particular person is unless they would channeling through me directly, which at this moment they're not. So I can't fully really answer that question. I'm sure that they're okay because there was always a greeter. But if a deceased person says, I'm not ready to go over there yet, I feel the need, I got to hang out here, no one's going to tell them on the other side any different.
Yeah.
So it just varies. But most people that have crossed over, they have fully crossed over and reunited with people that they have known, not just from this lifetime, but from other lifetimes. But I have dealt with sometimes souls, not many, but souls that have not crossed over for whatever the reason is, which is a myriad of different reasons. But what I do sometimes when I've dealt with a spirit like that is I encourage them to go be of the light, to be with loved ones that are already there, because there's nothing they can do being in this, to visit us like our loved ones do is great. But if they're hanging out here 24/7, it's not really going to serve a purpose to them, so to speak.
Yeah, that soul takes its step to be free to go travel the world or do whatever. They have a purpose and whatever they want to do, and they come back. I'm curious, Vanessa, because I'm actually looking at the energy of this of the matriarch, but I'm seeing almost someone who's a little bit eccentric in her ways, a little bit. I don't want to say diva because it's not really that, but it's a little bit more eccentric in that space. But likes everything just so. I keep hearing just so. And so it's very interesting. So you can kind of,
who was that question for?
that was Vanessa. So
I don't know if it's because I see Tammy's question there too. And hi, Dawn.
Yeah, here it is. I put it up.
So I just want to say hi. I see two friends of mine that are here. My friend Dawn and my friend Sharon. Hello to them. So I don't know if it's Tammy's question about her dog lady or about Vanessa's matriarch, but one of these female energies is making me think that they had some lung issues that were happening. And there's a lot of congestion and even fluid buildup right here. Actually, if I stand up, you can see like right here in the heart area.
He's wearing his Beatles shirt.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute.
There's a reason why I wore that today. But
we'll get to that.
So I'm not sure if that's Tammy's dog, that the dog had a lot of fluid in the chest cavity, or that deals with Vanessa's question to that woman. But that's something I picked up really quickly.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So if one of them wants to validate it, that'd be great.
Yeah, and by the way, we have a little bit of a delay because I don't pay them all this money. I don't pay up for instantaneous stuff. But so hello, Dawn, and welcome. Tammy says, I think it's Vanessa. that was, and actually I kind of agree. I think that might have been Vanessa as well. Richard, is it possible to avoid being reincarnated? Me. Can I take this? Yes, it is absolutely possible to avoid being reincarnated. And that is when you, as a soul, have completed all of your journey, cleared all of your karma, learned all of what you needed to learn. But that's part of the beauty of the reincarnation process, is that we also, not just do we have these spaces where we learn, but we also bring in our wisdom from past lives as well. So everything, Richard, that you have with you, like that you're learning this lifetime, your spiritual path, you might come back and be doing this YouTube channel. Well, it won't even be a YouTube channel. It'll be like some probably, I see like a big giant screen in space with a bunch of little ships like watching you on the truly the big screen when you come back as a spiritual master. And make no mistake, Richard, you're a spiritual master. So what are your thoughts on that, Glenn?
I agree exactly what you said.
Yeah, it's
and because I have a good sense of humor, on Richard's last name, when I first started playing in bands when I was a teenager, and Klausner wasn't going to work to make music. It's funny, his last name, I kind of wanted to use it just as a goof because of the sound of it. So
yeah, we'll just we'll just let that go.
It's a great rock and roll, rock and roll name, Richard.
So I think we can let's see. So I jot down random questions and everything, and we would get to. I'm gonna get to this message and star it, but bear with me here because I am multitasking. Like Glenn, I don't know, Glenn, are you watching this, Glenn? Everything I'm doing back here. Anyway, so you are a musician. And what I wanted to ask, because you've got like a record label, you've got, I guess we're calling them record labels, and you've got a new single out, right? Only it's the music videos out, and things like that. But as a musician, like how does that affect that part of you? And by the way, Glenn has a YouTube channel, Glenn Kid, is it Glenn Kid Music?
No, it's just Glenn Kid with 2 N's and 2 D's.
Glenn Kid, two N's and 2 D's.
Yeah, it's from my
but
music.
How does that, like, I was thinking about that, and I thought, like, you have a lot of communications with folks from the other side. Do you ever channel them? Do you ever like get tidbits? Or I don't know. I have actually never asked you that question personally, and it's something I've always been a little bit curious about.
Well, it doesn't affect me as a medium, meaning like it doesn't have any interference in my work as a medium because I'm not doing those two things at the same time.
No, but I mean, like as a musician, when you're playing and everything, and you're so sensitive, and that's just pure vibration. Like music is all pure vibration. Yeah. And so when you're playing, or when you're playing with people, or you're in a venue with folks, whether it's your brother or any of the other folks that like, did that ever come into play? Did that ever affect you? Because you have to be that, because this is who you are.
No, I mean, meaning like if I'm playing live, I'm not picking up on people's loved ones in the audience. I'm there to play, and I don't play out too often these days. But when I have, no, I'm just playing. And when I'm composing a piece of music, whether it's on guitar, bass, or piano, and like with "Give Up the Ghost," my most recent song, I wrote that on piano. I actually did an acoustic guitar track for it, but I took that out of the final mix because I wanted the piano and the whole orchestra of instruments to be really the dominant sound to that. So it didn't really need an electric guitar, where all my other songs have guitars on it that I've done, or other guitar players have played on. But with "Give Up the Ghost," for instance, I had the music and the title. What's interesting is I had the piece of music started at the beginning of the pandemic. And the opening lyric of that song, where it goes, "Don't dry your tears, just let them be wet, soaking wet." I had that lyric, and I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. But I didn't have the rest of the music 2 years later, I go into my friend's then recording studio and start to record the song with myself, this drummer Tommy Price, who played on Billy Idol's album Rebel Yell, my brother Phil Fight, who also played with Tommy Price in Joan Jett's band. My brother was also in Billy Idol's band, and had him play bass. And this guy Tommy Mandel from Bryan Adams' band, formerly Bryan Adams' band, who's played on a lot of my other songs. He did all the orchestral stuff, and my friend Jenna Ferrone, who has sang on some of my other songs, she sang on that as well. So when that song started to come alive, once I had the piece of music all there recorded, the rest of the lyrics flew out of me.
Wow.
Sometimes the lyrics come right away with the piece of music. Sometimes I have the title or a few lines and then the music. Each song is so different, but I know that there's times when, for instance, I'll give you a great example. My song God and Drag that I wrote in 2013, and it was recorded and released then. There's a lyric in the first verse when I wrote that song on piano and play piano on that as well. There's a line that my mom channeled to me, and I'll tell you what that line is. When I go, everybody's made unique, I was stuck there for a moment. I heard my mom in my head going, we may not like what someone likes, but it's their right to speak. And I was like, wow, that's great.
Wow.
So that line in that song is actually attributed to her spirit channeling that through me.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm actually trying to find the link right now while you're talking. So forgive me, I cannot. Let me go grab that so I can drop it in the.
Yeah, or they just go to YouTube, put Glenn with 2 N's, Kid with 2 D's, and they can see my videos that are there. And in the playlist, there's about 24 songs of mine that are in there as well.
Yeah, I have to go to your.
But the message in Give Up the Ghost, I think, can really be of an inspiration to a lot of people right now who maybe feel that song I wrote basically of people who feel suicidal or have lost someone to suicide. And that was really what that song is about. It's about letting that ghost out of you, and if you listen to the lyrics of that song, if it brings you some inspiration and lifts you up, then that's the gift of that song.
Okay, and I got it. While you were, this is great. I can, you just keep talking, and I will get that, because we can just add this right to the queue. So that'll show up in the comments on both Facebook and
Thanks.
on. You're very welcome. I actually meant to grab it and throw it on here, earlier, and it just escaped me because we were scrambling a little bit in the beginning. But thank you for sharing that, and kind of answering my question. Before I get to my next question, though, I like to do a little bit of a station identification, as it were, because people are new here. There's lots of people watching from wherever you're watching. You are welcome to say hello. But I am here with Glenn Klausner, psychic medium Glenn Klausner, and he psychic medium, and he does lots of other types of readings. I encourage you to go to Glenn's website, and if it's something you're interested in, but he's got some interesting stuff on there. He was first, I mean, seriously, 4 years old, you start communicating. So that's pretty amazing. And you can either point your phone at the little at the QR code, or the link is going to show up right directly in whatever comment you are in. I am Debbie Tatel from Spirit Light Insight. I'm a clairvoyant and a healer and all those good things. I can be reached at spiritlightinsight.com. And again, the link will show up there if you'd like to book a session, a reading with me. I do slightly different stuff. If spirit pops in, that's kind of, I don't really do medium readings per se, but that's the beauty of all of it. Spirit is spirit, and we talk to them. If you enjoy this show and all of what we're doing here, one way or another, even if it's your first time here, please do subscribe, like, and share, because that's what this is all about. Is we're growing a community of like-minded souls, because we really need to raise the vibration of this planet right now. And that's one of my goals here is to teach a lot of the psychic tools, not so that you can go out and be a psychic, but so that you can use these tools to help raise your vibration, and then your presence raises the vibration in the world. So that's my, I do a little station identification plug periodically.
That's
And
good. I would like to say that I was starting to laugh when you said one way or another, because that's a song by Blondie, and a lot of times people think that I'm the drummer Blondie, a guy named Clem Burke. So it made me laugh when you said
you
that.
look like him?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's older than me and he's taller than me, but I have met him, and he put us two together in a room. It's similar.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, and I promise this, and I have to get to this, because this was, we just had the best conversation. So when we first talked about you coming on, I had asked you if you had seen the newly released Beatles single Now and Then, and or the documentary. There's a 13-minute documentary on how it was made. And we had the best discussion about that. By the way, for all of you out there, if you have not seen that new Beatles with John Lennon, it will give you chills, because you can feel John Lennon in the room. But I think that came out the day before, and I had been really like, it's like I'd been thinking, okay, I'm going to call Glenn and we'll have him on the show and we'll have a good time and it'll all be great. And so I knew that. But literally within days of that Beatles coming out and hearing John Lennon, I was just literally, spirit was saying, listen, girly, you pick up that phone and you call Glenn now. I was just like summoned by spirit to reach out to you. And then we were trying to figure out dates for the show. And I said, that's great. How about November 17th? And you said, oh yeah, that's great. And then told me that this day held a little bit of a special meaning for you.
Well, on this day, November 17th in 1980, John Lennon's final recording that he did with his wife, Yoko Ono, the album Double Fantasy, which is a brilliant record, both for John and Yoko. There's a lot of great songs for both of them, was released. And I know that not because I'm a fan of John, I just know that particular record was released on this day. Don't ask me what all his other records were released on, what day. I mean, I know some of the years for the Beatles stuff, but I don't know that much, in that regard. But that album for me, when John had passed and then I had got that album, I was a kid, when that whole thing happened. So I bought that album with my allowance money that my mom had given me. And
that's so cute.
But that's the single, the opening track on that album, Just Like Starting Over. It gets me teary even just thinking about that song, because of the aliveness of that track. And my song, I Love You, that I have out, that my friend Jennifer owned, the same one that sings on Give Up the Ghost, sang on that. And I wrote that song in 1996, and it was basically inspired because of that John Lennon song, Just Like Starting Over. Same key, the song's in the same key of A, and it just, like, those songs, Watching the Wheels and Woman, and even Yoko's songs like I'm Your Angel, they're so great. So when you mentioned that date, I was like, okay, here's John setting something else up again, because he's done that a lot through my music. And so for, and I don't live too far away. I live actually not too far from where he had lived, here in New York City. So it's always, like, when you brought that date up, I'm like, wow, like Double Fantasy, and that play.
Spirit works in wonderful ways, though, don't you think? Because it's like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And it just was, I just knew. And in fact, I didn't even know that there was a connection, obviously, when I called you. And it was so great then when you brought it up and we talked about it, and that you have your Beatles shirt on because of it today. I'm guessing that's why you show that chest. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And in honor of that new single, which was, John did that up in the Dakota, that song Now and Then. He did a lot of these songs that were unreleased. He would do them as demos on a cassette recorder. And I think that song was probably track that he did was probably around 1979. I'm guesstimating. So, I think it's cool with the technology now. They were able to take what they tried to do years ago with George when he was alive, and they did Free as a Bird and Real Love. But now they were able to really make that song a bit better. I don't, to be honest, I mean, I like Real Love a lot better, that song. I like the acoustic version that John did it at, which was for the movie Imagine. I like that song much better than this particular new one. But the new one's good. I think it's good for what it is.
Well, it's just for it was so haunting, talking about now and then and the way they did it. And even when they, because they tried to produce it earlier when George Harrison was alive,
Yeah.
there's no mistake of why they had that footage so they could add it to this now. Like, I was like, in fact, I get chills. That was so orchestrated. By spirit. Why did they even try to do it before? And then, we don't like it, but then now they produce it and it's this amazing thing. So, so thanks, John, whoever,
And George.
And George for all that you've given this world, like music, like real, like kind of loud or not loud, years of just amazing music. And by the way, so my friend Joe, welcome Joe. He said he does look like Glenn Burke, and he's the music guy.
I will say the more funny part about that is that Ace Frehley, the guitar player from the original guitar player in Kiss, who I've met several times, about close to a decade ago, the guy who produced my CD Breathe Love Life, this guy Larry Russell, who I was met through the spirit of John Lennon, which is a whole other story in itself. But Larry's friends with Ace Frehley. We went to see him play at a nightclub, and when we went backstage, he says to Ace, because Ace's real name is Paul, he goes, "Oh, Paul, this is my friend and my client, Glenn." And he goes, and in Ace's voice, he goes, Clem Berg from Blondie?
Oh my God.
So I thought that was funny coming from a guy that was, the first album I ever owned was Kiss Alive. That was gifted to me by my brother, actually. I was a little kid then. And so I think it was funny, Ace Frehley making that comment to me.
Yeah, no, that's great. And let's see, Ming, welcome, Ming, and Albert just tuned in. You have phenomenal readings and healings. Thank you so much. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Ming and Albert have taken several classes and workshops and gotten many, many readings. So I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Angela is saying it's a brilliant song. I'm thinking you're talking about Now and Then. And it is, it's just the way they did it is just absolutely brilliant.
Well, I think I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think to conclude this, I think that part about it, I think what makes that probably why people maybe relate to, because I think people think that may have been the last conversation that John had with Paul before John passed away, because he said, like, hey, my old friend, like, think of me every now and then. I don't know. I know there's a story that with Carl Perkins, where Paul was working with Carl Perkins like 1982 or 83, and he didn't know about that conversation with John, and he said those words, and I guess he broke down. Paul had broke down, and so I'm not sure if that really was the last conversation per se, but it was probably around that time period. So,
wow, that's amazing. So yeah, wrapping up that, because I just had to get to that. I told Joe I absolutely wanted to hear that story. So someone asked a question. Sharon, welcome, Sharon. Is it unusual for someone who's died in surgery and returned to begin having unusual spiritual experiences? Oh, we probably both can answer this one. But would you like to take a stab at that?
well, I don't know if that's the right choice of words after the person had surgery, though.
No, I think you
got the geek of what I just said.
Yeah. Well,
But,
I'm thinking that she was talking about having a near-death experience.
well, she wrote, is it unusual for someone who died in surgery and returned to begin having unusual spiritual
And
experience?
so, yes, that absolutely happens. Sometimes people have incredible awakenings when they come back. Now, sometimes there's also something called a walk-in, where the person dies and another spirit comes in. We're not even going to go down that road today. We can do that in another show. Thanks very much. But that's a rabbit hole that I need a whole bunch of help with talking about. So that'd be good. But that's what I'm thinking you're talking about, right, Sharon? Is somebody had a near-death experience, like they left and they were clinically dead and then they came back. My teacher actually had 5 of those, and he did it consciously. And so he had his experiences, but what experiences are we talking about? And how do you see that, Glenn, when somebody died like that? they die clinically dead and then they come back.
Well, I guess somebody like Anita Morjani, who had her first book called Dying to Be Me, she just did
That
actually a
sounds
cruise
really
with,
familiar, the book.
yeah, she just did a cruise with John Holland, who's another medium who actually I know personally. And I think she'd be a good one to probably ask, because she was near death from having like stage 4 cancer, went to the other side, came back, and amazingly, still here and educating a massive amount of people worldwide because of that. So everybody, I guess, has something sort of different in the experience. But again, it would question is like, what are these? Because Sharon wrote unusual spiritual experiences. Like,
Right.
what are those? What are those experiences? Like, is she? The only way to really know, again, like what you said, it could be sometimes a walk-in, like that, sort of like this movie that Chris Rock did, which was a remake of a movie called Heaven Can Wait, and Chris Rock did this movie
Oh
called
my gosh, yes, I
Down to
remember that.
Earth.
Oh my God, yes.
That's kind of could be something similar to it, or it's really hard to say unless you.
Yeah, and what's unusual? Like to me, what's unusual to me is pretty much nothing.
Right, well, like if the person had, like, say, never channeled deceased people, and now all of a sudden they're channeling accurate messages
yeah,
from deceased people, and it's accurate and stuff like that. I mean, that may be what's unusual, but again, Sharon would have to really emphasize
yeah,
a little bit more on
yeah.
that.
And many times people have these spiritual awakenings when that happens. I know my dad had an experience like that with a heart attack, and then he came back. And I've spoken to many people who have had near death. In fact, I'll have somebody on the show, that does that, or that has written a book about that. But it's very interesting because you can come back and you can have this awakening, because when you sort of connect with that oneness of spirit and you bring that back consciously, suddenly there's a lot that changes in your life.
Yeah.
Because suddenly, don't sweat the small stuff is really, when we let go of that fear of death, because death is just transforming from one form to another.
Well, I'll give you something really interesting. You saying that, because John Lennon, that we were talking about. John Lennon was a very intuitive guy.
Mhm.
Even into his own passing, he actually knew that was going to happen. So he actually had said sometime before he passed, he said, all death is if you could look this line up, it's actually available online, this quote. He said, all death is going from one car into another. And what's kind of strange with him, he got out of a limo and he died in the back of a police car.
Mm.
So it's interesting, his phrase, all death is going from one car and into another, which is what transpired with him.
Wow. Okay, so I'm just removing a little troll here.
I saw that.
So we're removing her completely from here. Just wanted to let you know, if anybody messages you while we are on this show in any way, shape, or form and says, if you ask a question and then that person said, send me your Cash App and I'll give you the answers that you want. No, 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 no. No psychic medium will ever approach you. If they're legitimate, they don't need to come here on this channel and try to poach clients, or they don't need to get you on the street, right? You're going to be drawn and they're going to find you. And so I try to get them, out of here as quickly as possible. But we will get to your 27-year-old twin. We're going to get to Sarah, but Sarah, I can't figure out 7-year-old twin dad.
She's probably what she's saying. But first of all, I'm more amused that her first name just keeps popping up all over the place for me, which is,
Right.
yeah. So it's like going, okay, like maybe it's a ghost that hangs out with me. She wrote, any message from her 7-year-old twin dad, Robbie. That's what she's meaning, Robbie. She's not probably meaning her 7-year-old twins. this guy, if this is this guy, because there is a guy that's been hanging around in the last couple of minutes who actually has a bandana around his head, white guy. He kind of looks like to me, like, when you see sort of these guys that ride motorcycles and everything like that. But he looks like wants to be tough. He wants to come off as the tough guy, but at the same time, he's feeling vulnerable. And he doesn't want to show that vulnerability, but he's willing to go there. And he's actually talking. It's funny. He's talking to me about the chakras, that he's aligning his chakras to do this, because he sort of like would poo-poo that. Like he would be like, if somebody said to him about chakras, he'd be like, "What's that?" Metaphysics, not his thing. I think there's a curiosity though about when if he went to a cemetery to see some deceased loved one, I think there's a part of him that want to know something about, like, where is that person and all like that. And I think this guy, I think he had some ability to be a counselor. Like if he would have been still here with us today on Earth in his physical body. And I think if he had gone, like where a lot of people now have become life coaches, that's a whole different subject. I think you really got to know what you're doing to do that. But he seems like he could have counseled, like when people have had substance stuff, and then they now are clean and sober, and then they go speak at AA meetings, or NA is Narcotics Anonymous, and they go, or Gamblers Anonymous, or Sexaholics Anonymous, or whatever it is. He has that feeling. So, but it's interesting because I don't know if this is to Sarah, if that Robbie guy wore this. It's blue. It's like a teal colored, actually blue, with some little bit of some white in there. But he's talking to me about, like, there's this feeling of vengeance, and I don't know if he felt threatened or there's some vengeance energy around him so if you recognize that, let me know. If you don't,
put that in the chat. There's a delay, so we'll get to some other folks. But
hold on 1 second. If Sarah doesn't recognize that, if somebody here does, please state that in a comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, especially when we're trying to tune in, there's a lot of energy because we have a lot of people on here. Yeah. So that's what happens. So Tammy is saying, we'll just get to some of the comments here. Jeff Mara podcasts are all about that and bringing back gifts. I don't know who that is, but thank you for that.
I've heard of him. He does. Yeah, he has a podcast, and he
has a podcast. And then Richard says, I've also heard.
Actually, I think Jeff Mara, wait a minute. If this is the right guy, whoever said that about Jeff Mara, which is Tammy Benson or somebody else said that?
Yeah, Tammy.
Somebody correct me on this. I think Jeff Mara actually played in Green Day. I think he's one of the touring guitar players. So if he has like bangs and I think glasses, if this is the same guy I'm thinking of, I think this guy was in Green toured as a touring guitar player and keyboardist in Green Day. I think. Sounds familiar to me, that name.
And I don't know. So there's me with my I like to let people who do that stuff know all that stuff. Also heard the people who get hit in the head can develop intuitive and psychic talents.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
It's true. And then Denise Primrose wrote about Daniel Brinkley. I actually did a seminar once in Naples, Florida at a college there. I was a guest speaker. And he was in the same building. It was a bunch of people that were doing speaking engagements.
Daniel Brinkley, yeah.
I met him. It was actually very nice.
And for those who are listening on the podcast, Daniel Brinkley wrote a very interesting book about a near-death experience. Because I've got this on YouTube, different channels. Mom says this is a really awesome show. I think so too. Not that she's biased or anything, but But so too. So thank you. And Angela's agreeing. Yes, I think so too. Listen, this has been in my head for a long time to reach out to Glenn. And let's see here. We've got, not sure he does have glasses, but that's not his last name. His last name on podcast is actually his wife's name.
I'd have to look and see, because I know there was a guy, I'm pretty sure his name was Jeff Marr, that played in Green Day. But hold on. Now, Jonas Josiates, he says, it's good to see you again, Glenn. You see him?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two guys back to back that I know. Jonas, I know in Jonas. Hi, Jonas.
Hi, Jonas. Welcome, Jonas.
Jonas's mom, Dawn, who's here, is a friend of mine. And actually, Dawn used to work for me a long time ago when I was in Florida. And Jonas is her son, one of her sons. And so I knew him when he was a little guy and a great, great young man. He's now, this young man. And then there's Alan Jacobs. Now I want to give credit to this guy, Alan Jacobs, who's here. Pull his comment up if you can. Let me tell you a little something about Alan Jacobs, people. I've known Alan since I'm 3 years young. The house that I grew up in Brooklyn, in the Canarsie section of Brooklyn that I lived at from ages 3 till 12, Alan's mom, Esther, was my landlady. So when my parents and my brother and myself, we all lived in this house. And Alan and his 3 brothers were like brothers to me because these guys were a little bit older than me. And I have to give Alan a full credit of something. This is dear to my heart because Alan is like he's family.
I love this. Yeah.
When I was a little boy, Alan would come over to visit his mom, and I still get a kick out of this. He used to go into her pantry closet where she had all her snacks, and he would get M&Ms out. And Alan had a cat named Virgil, and he would tell me, I would say, how's Virgil doing? I would picture little Glenn, and he would tell me Virgil was getting bigger and bigger, like big as a house. The cat was never that big. He just exaggerated. But what was cool, Alan used to say to me, he would call me Edgar. And I was like, who's Edgar? He's like, you're like Edgar Casey. Now, I had no idea
what
he was. Then he would call me Nostradamus. And I'm like, who's Nostradamus? So he'd tell me. But Alan had given a lot of really great esoteric books to my mom, like Rudolf Steiner, and he had given her Linda Goodman's Sun Signs book and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that in the house. But what's really interesting with Alan, who now calls me Glenn Stradamus, and I call him Alan Stradamus.
Oh, God, that's great.
But when I started doing readings, when I started the beginning of my career, I actually had asked Alan, did he see that in me as a child because he was calling me Edgar and Nostradamus really for no real reason? And he said no. But I can tell you, everybody who's here, this man, Alan Jacobs, is fully responsible for putting me on my career path and not knowing it. He was the first person to ever see that in me outside of my mom. But this was really great. So, I'm just so happy to see people that I know that are here. And
excellent. Well, he has a question too. Yeah. So is there a brief life review immediately following passing over?
Oh yeah. Everybody gets a brief, not a brief, they get a full life review when they cross over. So they see everything every thought they've had, everything they've ever said, did, felt. Oh yeah. So even if you thought this person's a moron, it gets reverberated back. You thought this person was lovely. Even all the words to the self, the feelings to the self, it gets played back. But I will share something because it kind of correlates to Alan's question. When my mom, who Alan knew very well, had transitioned, the day that she passed, 6 hours after she passed, when I saw her, she appeared to me. She looked like a 16, 17-year-old girl, which I understood why, because my mom won beauty pageants at that time. And she was standing on a pedestal, and her mom and her dad were on each side of her. And she was talking to this council, like maybe about what looked like the Last Supper table with like 12 people on it. But I couldn't hear what they were saying to her and what she was saying to them. So I'm watching this like a movie, but with no audio. Finally, that scene goes away. My grandparents disappear out of the scene. My mom turns around now to look at me. And I say, hey, was that the ethereal council, like your guides and stuff? She goes, yeah. I go, I couldn't hear what you were saying to them, what they were saying. She goes, you weren't meant to. I go, let me ask you, what did they ask you? Because it seemed like that quick. She goes, yeah. All they asked me was, what did I learn about love? I go, that's it? She goes, that's it. So here's a message to everybody that's watching this. When we cross over and our spirit guide or spirit guides, the only thing they're going to ask us is, what did we learn about love? That's it. They're not going to ask you about the car you drove. They're not going to ask you about the clothes you wore. They might, but I doubt it. They'll probably ask you the same question that they asked my mom, is what did you learn about love?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
so I wanted to share that because it sort of ties into Alan's question.
Yeah.
And
that's beautiful. Thank you. Wow, that's great. Sharon is saying hello.
Hi, Sharon. Sharon, I know in a long time. Sharon's sister Colleen, who's also in spirit, was one of my. Sharon's a dear friend of mine too. Sharon's sister Colleen was a really dear friend of mine, and she had this black cat named Kirby, who I renamed Sir Kirby Fellini Marley. So, yeah, but just funny stories,
But you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up because that's not a question that I had. But one of the things, so I remember And I don't remember if you were reading Lily. Were you reading Lily Sky or Venus? We were talking on the phone one day, and out of the blue, you're like, "Oh, your cat has something to say to you." And I don't even remember sort of what you said, but I just remember that at the time it was so profound that you just were communicating with my pet. And you do it all the time. Like when you post pictures and things like that on Facebook, which I just love, is you have like these cat friends and these communications with these pets. So, and the reason that I'm sort of bringing that up is because communicating with spirit is not mutually exclusive to being dead. We can communicate with spirits who are alive, another person.
Yeah.
That's what I do in my readings. I call it a spiritual hello, where I'm saying hello to the spirit of that person, the chakras, the aura, their energy, their actual original essence. But you have this thing about pet, like, I don't even, I know you don't call yourself a pet communicator, but honest to God, if I ever have a question about a pet, I'm calling you because you communicate with my girls. Where are they? Oh, they're not even in here. They're not even, they haven't even come. Usually they come out when you
Meow. I just read that.
Yeah, I don't know.
By the way, Deborah, did the woman Sarah who had this comment about her Robbie, her twin boys' father?
Yeah.
I don't know if she's still here and understood what I had mentioned.
Yeah, no, I mean, you asked for, she hasn't posted a follow-up comment in there.
Yeah, I see.
So, but Deborah, welcome, Deborah. Thank you for coming. I love my pets. I lost 2 recently. They were 18 years old. Were they dogs or cats, or what were your babies? 18 years old. Mona died. 8 equals 2. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means, Glenn?
No, and I don't want to be funny and do an Abbott and Costello routine, but no.
No. All right. 821. Okay, got it.
Okay.
I thought it might have been, I was like, ooh, equal. Yeah, I thought they might be cats. So 821 and 1028. Wow, did they have an agreement? Can I just say they had an agreement to be like, wow. Yeah. Anything there, Glenn?
The only thing I got, one of them, if I got this correct, one of those cats explained to me about having some renal issues, which is kidneys. And actually even a little bit of some liver stuff is going on, but they actually had a very feisty energy. Like I feel like, I'm not going to curse on your show, but like, don't F with me.
You can, it's okay.
No, it's okay. But because I'm in that head, so I
but
don't
thanks.
But but like when I say feisty, I don't even mean like they're strong. Like it's like if a person who lives on the streets and they have to survive on the streets, they have to have that kind of toughness about them. So that cat means more like, I'm the boss, kind of energy. But I do kind of pick up about something in their kidneys, meridian, and their liver. And I think I just keep getting like a no nonsense. It sounds kind of funny because when you're getting about a cat or a dog or a horse, a no nonsense kind of attitude. So I don't know if that makes sense about what she wrote that Mona had thyroid and going blind, but I don't know if it's about the cat Gina or Misky or whatever one she's writing here, if that one has that thing that I'm explaining.
Yeah. Well, this is you just I just like when you communicate with my girls.
To Deborah, have you this is gonna sound like a stupid question, but have you started eating more yogurt or getting maybe a feeling to start doing that for like plain, not the fruit yogurts, but just a plain plain non-fat yogurt, for the like for the acidophilus and all, and prebiotics and probiotics in there? Because I'm getting that feeling strong from the cat is like making me think to tell Gina about eating more yogurt, not all day, but at least maybe once a day in the morning or something.
Oh, that's a good piece.
But again, the non-fat, like a Chobani brand, for instance, that's non-fat and no flavor to it. You can put cinnamon in there, or take some walnuts or something and put it in there, but don't get those fruit ones. If you want to put fruit yourself in there, like blueberries, that's okay.
Wow. So, oh my gosh. Oh, she says they both died. Yeah, no, he was giving you a message about you.
Yeah,
For
that message,
you.
the yoga was for her, not for the
The
cat.
yoga's for you,
But
Deborah.
the cat, the one
That's
cat
for
that I got
you.
the strong, feisty, like, hey, don't F with me. And I kind of got the kidney. And I think that one really was like the protector, like the boss, kind of energy.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for that. Well, my gosh. So, my goodness. Well, let's do another station identification real quick. And are you okay? Can you stay on for a little longer? Because I've got a couple more questions before we
Yeah.
do our ending meditation. If you're
Yes.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. So hello, everyone. Welcome to TGIF Insight for the Curious and Enlightened. We are here with our featured guest, Glenn Klausner, psychic medium Glenn Klausner, and we are having great discussion about music and about all kinds of things. We're gonna have a few more questions, and then we will do a meditation, and we are going to create a love circle, a healing and love circle at the end. It was a surprise to Glenn. Glenn kind of prompted me to do it because he did something like this on his Facebook page. And so I am very grateful. But I am Debbie Tatel from Spirit Light Insight, and you can reach me at spiritlightinsight.com if you want to book a reading or check out any classes, book a session here. And the links will show up in I love these little QR codes. The links will show up. And then also just to let you know, and I'll promo it at the end as well, but I have a holiday workshop series that I put together. It's really, they're guided meditations. They're free. I'm going to put that up for a second. So I've got free one more coming up. It is on 12/21. We're doing a solstice ritual meditation, and I have these. There's going to be one posted on the YouTube podcast. So if you go to my list, you'll be able to see it there, because we just had this the other night, which was Holiday Magic, enjoying the holidays with space and grace. So that's some of the things we are doing here. I am here with Glenn. If you would like to book a reading with Glenn, absolutely go to his website at glennklausner.com. Again, the link is going to show up in wherever you are. If you are enjoying this show, and I will get to all the comments, I can see they're coming in. But what you want to do is you can point your little thing for Glenn's website at that QR code, or you can check out the link in the comments. But also, if you are totally enjoying this, right, support this stream. I would love it. I'm forever grateful. We do this for free. We don't get paid. I'm not monetized. So support this stream with a virtual tip. That link's going to show up where you are. It's also on the YouTube in the description. There's also links to everything we're talking about: Glenn's website, Glenn's email, auraofgrace.com, right? Or no,
my email, or auraofgrace@aol.com.
auraofgrace@aol.com. Sorry about that, but you can support this stream as well. And Glenn, can you point to that QR code above your head there? There. So either you can use the link in the comments, or you can use the QR code that is right on the screen and leave a little tip. Whatever your heart's desire is always appreciated. And also, because I am here to support you, if you go to my website, spiritlightinsight.com, you're going to also find a whole page of free resources, free guided meditations, everything from transforming chaos to calm to holiday meditations, releasing stress meditations, and I welcome you to do that. So thank you so much. That's our station identification. Oh, wait, and one more thing, because I got to do this. I got to do it. Everybody says I got to do it. So please subscribe, like, and share. Share with your friends. We are creating a beautiful, like-minded community, like-minded souls, people who are all here to learn and from each other, and give and share the wisdom of spirit and the wisdom of clairvoyance, the wisdom of whatever metaphysical thing I can get my hands on. And we're going to even do UFOs down the road. But do subscribe, like, and share, and so that you get notified of future shows as we do them. So,
and if I can interject, if anybody here wants to follow my pages on Facebook and Instagram, just put in Glenn Klausner, Psychic Medium, and you'll see those pages.
Yes, and you know what? You can always contact me if you send me a message. I need to be in contact with Glenn if you can't, because it's let's see, GlenNklausner. It's also on the bottom of his website.
The Facebook one is. The Instagram one is not, because the girl.
Oh, it's new.
My website can't get it. Yeah, it's new, and she couldn't get it in there for some reason. So
that's how to spell it, I hope, because I just dropped it in the comments.
Yeah. But if they just search both Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, or connect with me and I can connect you. We'll get you everywhere you need to go. So thank you for saying that. Yeah.
I had to give a non-shameless plug to myself.
No shame needed. You just plug away. I am happy to plug. I just didn't know what you wanted me to plug, because I thought we might be live on your channels too. Yeah. So that was why. So Deborah is saying thank you, and Sharon's saying, aren't all cats the boss? Yes. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And they will tell you what for.
So we still never got a response back from this girl Sarah about her.
Yeah, problem. I don't, Sarah. If you're still here, feel free. We're looking for a response, but that's okay. Sometimes
the deceased guy would like to get validated by somebody.
Can I validate you?
I was going to take a picture of him because I actually could see him right here. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll validate you because I
don't need the validation. I don't need the validation. I'd like to get the spirit.
The spirit validation. Oh, I get it. Okay. I get it. So, oh my gosh.
What else do you want to ask?
So there was a question. So if you have a question, drop it in the comments and let us know what you're thinking out there and what's going on. But let's see. Hang on a second. I'm just scrolling through because. So I'm going to ask you this question. I have just 2 more questions, and then we can jump into this amazing meditation and healing space. But even on your website, you have a question and you ask, where is the spirit world? And I'll remind you how you answered it there. And then you can talk a little bit more about it, because you say on your website, the spirit world, and by the way, I agreed 1,000% with it, which is why I wanted to put it in here, because it was so interesting, something you said at the end. The spirit world is not above or below us. It's all around us. It is everything. Everything is made up of energy and vibrations. The energy of the physical world is slow and dense, but the spirit world vibrates at a much higher rate. Mm-hmm. So there's a thin layer between the world, this world, the physical plane, and the spirit world of multi-dimensions. And the only thing that separates them from us is the frequency of the vibrations. And so how you describe it, Glenn, is a great example of this is a radio or television. Turn on the radio or television and the programs are there. Turn it off and it's still there, even when you're not hearing or seeing it.
Right. And it's the same thing with social media. Like, right now, there's a bunch of people that are broadcasting on all the social media networks, and we're not on all those networks at the moment, even though we're having accounts on there, right? Like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. But it's amazing that, spirit is everywhere. It's not above us or below us. It's really right here. That's why, like, when I dialogue with spirit, sometimes I see them a little bit more higher up. I don't, unless I'm dealing with a kid that's, coming through at that height to me. But they're not like, I'm not looking underneath the ground, going, oh, you're down there? How's the weather? So it's really just right here.
Yeah, I sometimes see people like standing behind somebody, like a right or a left shoulder. things
Yeah.
like that, when they come in. But I see people in just the funniest of ways. Like have you ever gotten a message? Wait, I just have to ask you because it cracked me up. I was reading somebody and her grandmother came in, and I saw her just like all she wanted to do was bake cookie. Like just the grandma was like baking cookies. And I was like, okay, I have no idea why I'm supposed to tell you this, but you need to go bake cookies. And she started to cry, my client. And she goes, oh my God, that was the thing that I did with my grandma. So they come in and they do like strange, things that.
Well, you could have gone like this. Your grandma wants me to, about the cookie, and then you could have just, if you were me, or rather, if I was me, I should say, doing it, I would have just started doing the Cookie Monster voice and going, I smell cookies.
Well, that's why you are so amazing to work with. And Don,
I don't do that in a
I
reading.
know. I
did do a Facebook Live like a week ago, and I told people I have a special celebrity guest coming on, and I actually, because I have a Cookie Monster puppet and a Kermit the Frog puppet, I actually brought them.
You brought
on.
Kermit, right?
Huh?
Did you bring Kermit?
Yeah, and I had Kermit do a reading, but the funny thing was me channeling the voice of Kermit to do that reading was actually accurate, which is kind of funny watching Kermit going, "Oh yes, hi, how are you?" And whatever.
Oh my God, you're so funny. So Dawn had a question: what's happening with the Earth? Are we moving into another dimension? And I'd like to answer this because I started the show with this in our weekly wrap up. Is that the Earth is in a huge growth period, and I don't see it. So, maybe there's other people who see it differently, right? So this is just from my little clairvoyant perspective, from just being able to look and see. Is one of the things that I see is that we are not moving into, well, we're moving into, let's say, the upper vibrational dimensions. But when I look at the Earth, I actually see that we're integrating dimensions, and that's what it's like, a clash almost, as the plates are coming together and things like that. So that's why there's been all these earthquakes and there's volcanoes. But it just, again, and go back, Don, if you weren't here at the beginning of the show, go ahead and listen to my stuff at the beginning, where I talk about the Earth being in a growth period, and Japan birthing an island, birthing a new space, birthing a new piece of land off the coast of Japan. So it's not like we're just moving into this dimension. We are birthing other things. We are bringing other vibrations into the world. So that's how I'm going to answer that. I don't know if you have anything on that.
Well, I mean, my thought is, first of all, I mean, the Earth has always been birthing and rebirthing, right? So, like, even if you go back to like when Moses parted the Red Sea, right, and this whole kind of thing, and the back in the pharaohs and the Pharisees and all that stuff in the time.
I was there.
And
what are you saying?
Yeah, we were there. And the Earth's always been shifting. So, like, as far as now, like, I mean, when I've talked to some feng shui practitioners that I know that practice the classical compass form, being that we're in the year of the water rabbit, and that's why, like, Iceland just had a lot of these maybe the earthquakes and stuff. And it's really, you could talk to astrologers and they have a take, and there's so many different streams of thought about that, right? But I think the Earth is always constantly moving forward, because you think about like what's going on in the Middle East, which I want to say something to that, because, I send love there. So it's a sensitive subject, obviously, what's going on, and I think it's important that we're not ignoring that at all.
Mhm.
I think there's, in any time when humanity lessons have happened, like whether it's 9/11, the pandemic, world wars, anything that's big to that really gets our attention. It's to reflect really of how valuable life is. If I told people that over 150,000 people worldwide physically die every day, it would probably blow your mind, but it's actually true. So we don't think about that, because when you hear about some celebrity that passed at 99 years old, like Betty White, God, I love Betty White, it's like, oh my God, why didn't she live to be 100? She made it to 99. But the thing is that so many people pass every day that we don't even hear about on the news. We're all different ages. And I think we're in a time, it always goes back to the same principle that people like Jesus talked about, or Mother Teresa, or Dr. Martin Luther King. They've all said it before. I say this line in my song, Safe to Smile, in the bridge section where I go, actually in the third verse, where I go, here we are looking to the stars of evolution. They've all said it before that we can be a love revolution. And it really is all that, because it's all the return to love. It's all to come back. That doesn't mean, hey, if you don't like a particular food, don't eat it, or whatever it is. But I think, for us, it's important that we love ourselves. The first love and the last love of our lives is ourselves. And if we're able to at least respect other people, even if we don't agree with their political beliefs, their spiritual beliefs, religious beliefs, whatever, their dietary beliefs, their sexual orientation beliefs, that's the thing, that we are so involved in ego here, that I fully believe that everything that happens outside in the world is a mirror reflection of our internal thinking and feeling. So, and the history, like with Palestine and Israel, for instance, that's been going on for so long, there must be something karmic there with the souls who've passed a long time ago. And it just keeps, I think it's a time to really just heal. It's to allow healing to happen. Yeah. And the only way that I think to get out of, and I put this in air quotation marks, out of hell up here, is to go back in here, and try to be here as most as we can. Even I'm no saint. I never proclaimed to be a saint or an angel, even though the word angel is in my name, Glenn Klausner. But it's really important to try to get back and be in our heart more than in our head.
Thank you. That's actually a perfect segue into our meditation and what we're going to be doing. So I appreciate that came up. So we're just going to, I'll let you answer this question from Angela, and then we are going to do our weekly wrap-up meditation so that you can gather up your energy and we can all get back into that heart space, that space of love, because we are creating a circle of love, and you'll see, and you're going to love it. And I will guarantee that. So take it away for Angela. Angela's in New Zealand, by the way, so it's Saturday for her.
In the words of Lenny Kravitz, let love rule. What, Angela's in where? In Australia?
New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. Yeah. Well, hello. I sometimes read for people over there. They're very nice. So Angela wrote, how do you know when your loved one is around you? She wrote her dad. Well, if I may, because I can answer this very easily. And actually, let's see if I can pull something up in my photos. So... All right. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this from my... That's not what I was trying to show you. No, here we go. Okay. You see this picture here of a yellow taxi cab next to a van? Let me see if I can bring it closer into the camera. So it's backwards, but the van says Carl's Plumbing. And here on this cab... Hold on.
That's okay. Give us the gist.
No, but I'm going to show you if I can... This thing wouldn't be so finicky. On the back of the New York cab, you might be able to see there's a number there above the gas tank.
Yes.
That actually says 8F, like in Frank, 25. Now, my mom's birthday was August 25th. My mom's been deceased since 2005. Out of 15,000 yellow cabs in New York City, my mom has a tendency to show up on cabs when I'm not even thinking of her. And the funny thing about this picture with the Carl's Plumbing, my uncle Carl, who spelled his name with a C, unlike this van is with a K, was my mom's brother. And my mom and her brother, they grew up on the Lower East Side of New York City. So when I saw the van, I took the picture, but what I didn't realize until I looked afterwards, I heard, look at the number on the cab, and it was my mom's birthday right next to it. So I said, man, that's crafty how my mom and her brother are lined up like that. So signs for me, especially from my mom, is seeing her birthday on cabs or license plates when I'm not even thinking of her. My uncle, Carl, who is a psychologist that rehab substance users, when I'm too much in my head, I could be walking down the street and a cab either is right at the corner at the light, right, and it has his birthday, which was the day after mine, on the cab. And I just go, okay, I get it. I'm too much in my head. So those are really signs. They're not going to each spirit is so different the way they do it. They could do it through music. They could do it through words. You might see somebody like what I call a doppelganger. You might see your dad, a guy who looks like your dad in a store. It's happened to me where I've seen people I know that have passed on. And a real funny story, if I may share, was my sister-in-law's dad, who has known me since I'm a little boy. He had passed a few years ago, and when he would treat me like as if I was his son. He was always great with me. I think he thought he didn't really understand my gig as a medium, but he never talked to me about it either, and he never poo-pooed me. But when he passed, shortly after, there's a grocery store up the road from me that I sometimes go into, and at the deli department, there was a man with those white, paper hats they wear on their head in the deli department. Deb?
Yes.
Like those white hats.
Oh,
They're
I'm just listening. Sorry.
And so there was this man behind, and I took a photo of him at the time, and I sent it to my sister-in-law to show it to her family. This guy looked a lot like my sister-in-law's dad. And the guy looked at me, not when I took the photo of him, but I realized, I go, man, that's great. He's Pop.
That's great.
Trying to get my attention. So to answer the long story short, really, how when a loved one is around you, you might smell, like if they wore a certain perfume or if they smoke. And the best signs from our loved ones are the ones that when you're not even thinking of them or asking them for a sign, and just they show up and without a shadow of a doubt, it's them. You didn't try to force them to leave you a quarter. You could ask them, but I like it to be what it's been from my own experience, because it makes it look more. It makes it more magical.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I mean, I think that there's so many different ways though, because you were talking about the smell, and things like that. And I think you can sometimes feel them. So I do have a funny story before we jump in. And hello, Lam Sue. Welcome. After my dad died, it was probably, it was months later. So it wasn't like right away. And I don't know, I was in kind of a weird growth period. I think I was just struggling kind of in the world, however I was struggling or whatever. And I was like, wow, I wish my dad was here to talk to. And I was in the shower, and I walk out of the shower and I see my dad standing in the doorway of my bathroom. And I just about had a heart attack on the spot, because here I am, I'm like butt naked, get out of the shower, and he's standing there, and I didn't quite know what to do. He never did answer my question, but he showed up. And of course, then I started laughing because, it's not like, that's just a little too much for a grown daughter, to have that happen. But I think people see and smell and know. And so that's great. And I love your, you know what? I love that about the cabs and the birthdays and things like that.
Yeah.
That's really, super cool. I never look for that. I never look for those.
I don't even look for it, because it happens when it goes down there. And the funny thing, sometimes with my mom, I remember what her hands felt like. So I can, not because she hit me, it's just, just holding her hand, for instance, I would know what that feels like. And I could feel sometimes when she's had me look at a cab and see the birthday, I could feel her hand touch my face, which is even.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, my gosh.
And you're very welcome, Angela, for that.
Yes, Angela said, that's awesome, Glenn. Many thanks. And she's got like little cute smiley faces on there for those watching the podcast later. So I think we should kind of start to wind this down. Yeah?
Sure. Or you can wind it up if you want to do the complete opposite.
Oh, wait, though. I did have this. Okay. What do spirits do in the spirit world? I have to add that. I have to add that question, because I love that. So you have this on your website too. What do spirits do in the spirit world?
They do that.
That was so good. But the way you answer that on your website is that every spirit has a purpose and a mission in the spiritual dimensions. And you also go on to say that many spirits are very active in what's happening in our world, which is actually true. Yep. They are here. They are helping us. They are, there's a lot of spirit. So when, to your point about what was going on in the Middle East, we have lots of helping us get through that right now. So if you have any kind of faith at any level, spirit is here. We're seeing it. There's a lot of light workers working at that level. Spirit has a social life, and they do partake in activities, mostly just laughing at us. I like to think that they're over there and they're learning lessons from ascended masters in the non-physical dimensions. That they're also, it takes the spirit a while to collect up their energy. They want to collect up all their wisdom and all of that and everything they gleaned. And even though that, what were you saying, Glenn, about the life review, that all they're ever going to ask about is love?
Yeah, what did you learn about love? But when our loved
That's
ones go,
so profound. What did you learn about love?
and when our loved ones, like, if we're having, let's say, there's a birth of a baby or a wedding, or there's someone that passed, or there's, your birthday and anniversary, they're around us during those times.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not just, sitting on a cloud doing nothing. And a lot of times they could be off helping maybe, somebody that is getting adjusted to, maybe somebody's grieving. They didn't even know that person. Just like we deal with people that think how we all meet. We didn't know each other necessarily before, so to speak. And you meet along the way, and we become acclimated to each other. And you might know somebody for just a few minutes, and maybe you brighten that person's day because that person was thinking of maybe whatever.
Yep.
And then sometimes you have these lifelong friends, like with Alan Jacobs, who's here, who I've known since yesterday, when I was 3 years old. And but he's probably one of the few people alive that actually has known me as long as I'm alive.
That's amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you for all of that. Well, we are going to start winding this down. But one of the things that we do at TGIF, Insight for the Curious and Enlightened, every week, and by the way, I'm here at 5:30 Central Time, 6:30 Eastern Time, and then what is that, 3:30 Pacific Time. I've been trying to do every single Friday for you, where we do some tidbits. We have guests on the show, but there's always, I try to theme the show for what's going on. And as I started this show, it was all about the growth periods that we're in, which, by the way, is also, when Glenn, when you brought up the Middle East, that's a growth period that we are all in as a world. Mm-hmm. And so I like to do a closing meditation to get everybody reset their energy around them. And then, as I've been saying, if you're just popping on, that we also have a beautiful thing we're going to do at the end in honor of Glenn. And I may add this in every single one in perpetuity, it might be, but thank you so much for this great idea. So, and you're going to stick around for this, right, Glenn? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Because, then I don't want to thank you. And
unless, an alien comes down here in my living room and goes, let's go.
If that happens and we get this on YouTube, and they do take you, I'm going to be rich one way or another. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. But I hope everybody sticks around for this, because this is going to be a good one. So everyone, give yourselves a breath and be seated in a comfortable position with your feet on the floor. So I'm saying that for folks that are just tuning in, or folks that are listening to the podcast later. And close your eyes or turn your gaze downward and give yourself that life-affirming breath as you begin to turn your attention within. Enter into this meditation with curiosity, discovery, and allowing yourself to be where you are, as the spirit that you are. Give yourself a few breaths and just focus on that breath, and give your eyes a rest. Feel your chest expanding every time you give yourself that breath, and fill your body with oxygen and brand new energy. Create a space that's just for you, and just honor yourself in this space. Now say hello to your body, your physical body, and just acknowledge and thank your body for carrying you through this world and doing all that you do. And then simply say hello to the base of your spine, the tip of your tailbone, where your first chakra, that energy center of safety and security, is located. And then imagine that you are connected with the earth. I like to use a nice tree. You can flatten out the top and connect that right at the tip of your tailbone and give yourself a place to release the energy. Give yourself a breath and just imagine that you're connected solidly with Gaia, Mother Earth, and that you're releasing any excess energy, any energy that doesn't serve you, any energy that is not in the vibration of love that you are. And whatever you release, just see that as a waterfall going down the trunk of that tree, and it's going to get recycled in the earth. So there's no garbage going down there. So don't worry about whatever you're releasing. It's going to get recycled and go back to where it came from. And you can rest your attention in the center of your head as you're doing this. And step out of the chaos, step out of the news cycle, and step into you. Give yourself space to be who you are as you are. From that center of headspace, imagine that you're in a beautiful spiritual sanctuary just for you. It can be a room or a favorite place that you like to visit. But just you be in charge there. And in fact, you can pull up a seat in the center of your head and begin to rest there. Now tune your attention just for a moment into your week and say hello to any of the energy that maybe you picked up other people's energy or you became responsible for someone else's energy during this past week. And give yourself a breath. And as you exhale, just let go of any of that energy, any of those responsibilities, and then be right here and right now in the present. Say hello to your growth period, the theme, the weaving of whatever's going on in your life. And recognize that you are not your growth period. You're going through something. No matter what it is, it's a period of growth that you're going through. And give yourself space to have that and experience that. We're all growing and changing and transforming in the blink of an eye. So be right here and now with that transformation. Say hello to the Earth's growth period and our dimensional integrations. And recognize that there's nothing to fear in it. It's just growth and change and transformation as it has been since the dawn of time. Now go ahead and just breathe and release. Release anything from that week that's been weighing on you, anything heavy. Lighten your load right here and now. And then be right back in the center of your head and notice that connection between you and the center of the earth. As we move into the next phase of our meditation of creating a love circle of love. Several years back, I created a series of meditations called Platform for Peace. A few days ago, our friend Glenn started a healing circle, or he called it a circle, on his page, and I want to continue to create that space here as a community of like-minded souls. There is power in this space. There is the power of love. And since all transformation begins within, we're going to breathe in energy, allow it to transform within us. And when we exhale, we're going to breathe out that transformation into the world. Give yourself a breath and breathe in the energy of love, peace, and joy. Allow that love, peace, and joy to transform everything within you, everything inside of you. Now, as you exhale, breathe out that transformation to share your transformation with the world. Imagine that we're in a circle of love together in the space that we are in. Breathing in love, exhaling love to transform the world. Breathe in health, wellness, abundance, and prosperity. Let it fill every pore, every part of the inside of you as you breathe it in. Allow it to transform. And now as you exhale, breathe out that transformation and share it with the world. From the center of your awareness, the center of your head, visualize that you're in a space of love and light and peace and joy. You can even see yourself in a bubble of golden light. See yourself as whole and complete. See yourself as love and light. See the world and your loved ones as whole and complete. See the world as the light of love. Notice what that feels like and that experience. As you breathe in love and exhale and breathe out love into the world. And now go ahead and bring your attention back to your physical body and be right here and now in the present. And imagine a beautiful golden sun above your head, filled with light and love and your own life force energy. Fill that with your life force energy from wherever it's been, wherever you left it. And now bring that golden sun down in through the top of your head, through your crown chakra, and allow it to flow through your entire body from top to bottom and bottom to top, filling up all the cells, all the atoms and the molecules, all the in-between spaces. Imagine them as little golden smiley faces of love within you. And then let that golden sun expand right into your skin and then through your skin and begin to fill up your energy field, your aura, with your own life force, with your own light. And imagine that you're in this golden bubble of light. It's about 6 feet around you, above and below, in front and in back, within and around you. And then finally, give yourself a deep breath. And as you exhale, put a smile on your face and love yourself just a little bit more. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and move around. You start moving around a little bit slowly as you come back to yourself. And you can open your eyes and look around and just really come back to yourself. Oh, that was great, everyone. You all did great. What was your experience? You can just come back slowly. I don't want to have you type right away, but just give yourself a minute to sort of reacclimate to the room and to where you are. What a beautiful, beautiful space. Did I do your love justice there, Glenn?
Oh yeah, that was great. I mean, you said it way better than I can say it. So thank you.
You're welcome. It was beautiful. You wrote that in there and I had to add it up. I had to put it in here.
You vibed it up.
Add it in and it's here forever now. I might even split it out and put it into a separate meditation. Thank you, Sheila. Welcome. Thank you for coming. We're starting to get the thank yous coming in. Yeah, that I never know how these are going to go. I only have sort of minimal notes, and then I look at the energy, and it just was growing. And as the love was growing, everybody was in a completely different space, and so I sort of stayed there with it. And this, folks, is how we create a community of light, a community of love. And there is so much power in that space. You have no idea how much it's gentle, but that's what power is. Power and ego is over something, right? That's when you're in your ego. Love, that's the most powerful energy on earth. And it's gentle and loving. And Dawn says, that felt wonderful. Thank you. You are so very welcome. Richard, thank you. Thanks everyone for kind of hanging out. We had a pretty steady crowd as we went through this. And I'm loving just kind of watching everybody come back to themselves. And even actually, Glenn, you're glowing. You're just
I feel it. I feel it. You did a very, really good meditation and the transmission. And so thank you for sharing that.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome. I mean, this is how we end every week, is with some sort of meditation, but this was special. And I think I'm gonna probably keep this in here for a little while. Janet
Thank you,
saying,
Janet.
so nice to meet you.
Likewise,
Glenn,
nice to meet all of you.
Sharon is saying thank you. You're absolutely welcome. This has been so much fun and such a pleasure. And I know I'm clicking away over here, but it's just,
I feel high, and I don't do anything to get
I
you
know.
high,
I know.
But I mean, I feel cosmically like high, which is really good, uh, and much needed at this. It's always been much needed, but much needed, especially right now in our world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and just to kind of wrap things up, so we're around, but the earth is in a growth period. Honor it, let it be there. Let yourself be in a growth period. Let yourself be there.
I just want to say, because we're an hour time difference, and I just looked at the clock on my computer, and it says 8:25. My mom's birthday.
Hi, Mom. There's no doubt
That's
your
funny.
mom is here.
Yeah.
So yeah, just have your awareness about the energy. We're not ignoring the energy that's going on in the world. We can't. But the more whole and complete, what do I say? Let there be love. Let there be light. Let there be happiness. Let there be joy. Let it be within. Let it be. I hate
Well,
to use
that's
the
who
word
we
without because that sounds like we're without it, but outside of us, it's honor the growth that is happening. Remember, you are not your growth period. Give yourself space to be who you are
are.
as you are.
Yeah, can I just add something to that
Yes.
too? I think it's very important to also honor the shadow side of ourselves. What people don't want to deal with, what they call the dark night of the soul, because we all have it. Everyone has duality in them. So somebody can go, "Oh, I love spaghetti," and somebody can go, "I hate the spaghetti." So it's it's important that we honor even those other aspects of ourselves, that the parts of ourselves that we may not like, by honoring that, loving it, or at least acknowledging it, instead of fighting with it. Because that's important, part of that growth
Yeah.
is love.
So I'm just when we do this, yes, that's the absolute part of the growth, and because it is the growth, that's the duality
Yeah.
in the growth. Hang on
If,
one second.
if I just touch on this for a second, like when we say that we hate people who hate people, that doesn't help, and it doesn't help them, and it doesn't help us. It doesn't mean that we have to agree with stuff that's going on that is like violent. For instance, we don't agree with violence, but the way I look at violence, if I just want to add something here, because it's a kind of an
I really
interesting
want to kind
subject.
of end on a high note. Like I don't even want to talk
No,
about
no, I do.
violence. I
No, no.
hope if that's okay. I don't even
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
bring
no.
that back
But,
in.
but no, but what I'm saying is that it is not to. If we put hate towards that, it's never going to lessen. So that doesn't mean you have to love it, but I think
Right.
if we can just accept
Let
it
it
as is,
let
or
it be there.
have compassion to it, doesn't mean we have to agree with it, but just try to have compassion and accept it and just put love on it. That can help minimize it, because the more that we project the hatred towards that stuff, it just doesn't, it
It's gonna
grows.
release.
That's all.
We're gonna the more we love it, the more, or not love it, but the more we shine the light on it,
Right.
darkness
That's what
cannot
I'm saying.
exist in a space of light. Tom is saying, I look forward to your meditations each Friday, and thank you both for sharing your talents tonight. You are
Thank you.
so very welcome. Uh, Listen, you all have the opportunity to create a circle of love in your own world and use this again. Refer back, come back to it a million times. It's on the YouTube podcast section too. It's in my playlists. Um, see the world as love and whole and complete. Yeah. In health and wellness and surrounded in light, and see it and be it and let it be so. That's how I'm going to wrap that up, is see it and be it and let it be so. Uh, Thank you so much, Glenn, for being here and our lively little discussion. Please tell me you're going to come back again and do this
I would
again
love
at
to.
some point, because I will absolutely have you back. Thanks to all of you who are watching and hung out with us, whether it's, folks who are here every week or new folks. Please do subscribe, like, and share. Like if you're, new here, but you enjoyed this, please do subscribe. Thank you all for your willingness to show up every week and join this community of light, and to spread and share all that we're doing here. So once again, if you enjoy waiting here, come show. And Glenn, if you could point up up to that QR code up there, up at the top. I love the slow move. You can always find that. You are welcome there. I've got an upcoming workshop on the 21st. We're doing a ritual. We've got Thanksgiving here next week. I will still be going live, so don't worry about that. Readings and healings for me are always available here. You can book a session, and I think this is probably going to be in the chat box a couple of times. If you would like a reading or coaching, or need Glenn to play music for you or speak at some level near, Glenn's website, glenklausner.com. You can find him there. Again, the links are going to be in the comment section. They're also going to be on YouTube in the description. So there's no, and in fact, Glenn, I'll add your Facebook stuff into the description later so everybody can find it there. That's pretty easy to do. So we will get that all done. And let's see, back to, oh my gosh, let's see, we're going to open up the chat again.
And thank you again to everyone who is here.
What was that?
I was saying to the audience, thank you to everyone that's here, whether they're invisible, like off screen, or here on screen. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Dawn is saying, really enjoyed the show, going to check out the other videos. Great. Welcome to the family, Dawn. This is what all the fun is about. And I've got some, stuff coming out. So yeah, please do join us. And this has all been so amazing. So you can find all of our information on our website. I will be here live. Next week, I'm going to actually share an amazing email I received about a show I did on gratitude practice for the month of November. Not a gratitude challenge, because when we're challenged, it's hard. So I didn't give everybody a challenge. I gave everybody a practice. And I received an amazing email from someone, and I can't wait to share that with you next week. So for everyone, have a wonderful weekend, have a wonderful new week, and keep your spirit light in sight and shine your light for all to see. Bye-bye now.